Okay, so today we're going to do vectors, but before we start, I'm going to show you this little clip from Despicable Me.
Hey. I'm applying for a new film loan. Go by the name of Vector. It's a mathematical term, a quantity represented by an arrow with both direction and magnitude. Vector! That's me, as I'm committing crimes with both direction and magnitude. Oh yeah! Check out my new weapon. Piranha gun! Oh yes! Fires live piranhas. Never seen one before? No, you have my invention. You want a demonstration? Oh, ow! It's so difficult sometimes to get the line back.
So we get to do vectors today. Vectors! It has both magnitude and direction and magnitude. Oh yeah. Okay. So last section of the chapter, vectors, we test Friday. Review tomorrow, test Friday. So vectors. So a vector is any quantity with both magnitude, which is a length, and direction, like north, south, east, west. So we're going to be writing directions, and we'll do magnitude, which is length. You guys remember doing ordered pairs, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you have an XY axis and you'd have a point over here, you'd see how far over and how far up you go. A vector is going to have an ordered pair, but since it has length and direction, we write our parentheses. They're going to look like they're going to have to be pointy parentheses. It's weird, pointy parentheses. But it's going to finish at a point location, which would be like 3,3 or whatever. All right. So, describing a vector. So I'm going to do an example, and then we'll do some on your worksheet. And then I'll do an example and more on your worksheet. So you can use an ordered pair in the coordinate plane to describe a vector, but we have pointy parentheses. I had to create these. I know it looks terrible on the computer, but it's pointy parentheses because it's a length. It's a length. So for example, I have to figure out how far over and how far down I go to get to that final point right there, and that would be my vector. So to do that, we use trigonometry. So I'll just find x first, and then I'll find y. So I'm going to pretend like this side's not here. So do you see how this would be our right triangle? You guys see the 50 degrees? So I've got x here, and then I know my length is 65. So this side right here, what side is this called? Adjacent. And what side is this called? So which trig function would we use? Cos. So cos 50, I have to put adjacent over hypotenuse, so x over 65, x is up high, multiply 65 times cos 50, 65 times cos 50, and I'll get my x value, which is 41.8. Whoops, wrong one. 41.8. So I know I have 41.8, comma, and then I have to figure out my y value. So what is this side called?
Opposite.
Opposite. So which trig function is O and H? Sine. So sine 50 equals y over 65. Y is up high. Multiply 65 times sine 50. And I get 49.8. 49.8. Now, however, that 49.8 is going down. So would that be positive or negative? Negative. So negative 49.8. That would represent my vector. So when I was in college, I actually had to take a class called vector analysis. It was a whole semester on vectors. It was very fun. If you're not going to be a math teacher, you won't have to take it. So.
Let's go.
All right, let's look at a couple on your assignment. So I think this is number 1 and number 2. So I always create that right triangle so you can see it. So this would be the point location that I'm trying to find. So I have to figure out how far over and how far up I would go. So I'm going to create that right triangle where my angle's on the inside. Now this one's actually kind of cool because it's a 45, 45, 90. Do you see that? Do you guys remember your 45, 45, 90 rule?
Yeah.
Well, I know the hypotenuse. So actually, if you remember those rules, it'll make it easier. Otherwise, we'll do trigonometry. We'll get the same thing. So we have to find this length right here, which would be x. And we have to find this length right here, which would be y. Since this is a 45, 45, 90, x and y will be the same. Okay? So they're going to be the same answer, so I can use trigonometry just once if I want to. If you remember your 45, 45, 90 rules, though, what would I do to go backwards from the hypotenuse?
Divide by
Yeah, divide by radical 2. So what is 65 divided by radical 2?
65 radical
65 radical 2 over 2.
It is 65 radical 2 over 2. So that's my vector, but I could use trigonometry. Like if I wanted to find x, I would do adjacent and hypotenuse. So I would have cos 45 equals x over 65. And I just want to show you that you get the same answer. So like if you're taking your test Friday and you're like, oh, I forgot the 45, 45, 90 rules, just use trigonometry. You'll get the same answer. 65 times cos 45.
65 radical 2.
65 radical 2 over 2. So you get the same answer. So you can use trigonometry if you choose. So let's describe this vector. So how far to the right would I go? 65 radical 2 over 2. And that'd be positive because I'm going to the right. Comma. And then I'm also going up. So is that positive or negative? So 65 radical 2 over 2 again. Like I said, it's pointy parentheses because it is a movement. Okay, let's try the next one. So on these problems, create a triangle where the angle's on the inside. So I don't want to go this way, I want to go this way, yeah. So that angle's on the inside. So that 28 degrees is really that angle right there. So I need to find this length, that would be my x, and this length would be my y. So x comma y. This time I'm going to be going to the left. Would that be positive or negative?
Negative.
And then I'm also going to be going down, so it'll be negative. So we'll use trigonometry. Let's find x first. What side is that called?
Adjacent.
Adjacent. What side is this called? So sine, cosine, or tangent. Cos 28. I have x over 42. X is up high. Multiply 42 times cos 28. You guys just sound so excited today. 42 times cos, what is it, 28?
Yeah.
37.1. Just, you sound so excited. So I know the x value is going to be negative 37.1. Right? Negative 37.1. Comma.
19.7.
Oh, you already found it? Which trig function did you use?
Sin.
Sin. So sin 28 equals y over 42. 42 times sin 28, what was it? Negative what?
Negative 19.7.
19.7. Okay. So there's one more on your worksheet. This one, though, remember we want the angle on the inside. So this one's going to look a little bit different. So here's my right triangle if you want to write it in. So x will actually be here because see how it's parallel with the x-axis. And then y is going to be here on the y-axis. So this time cosine would be finding y and sine would be finding x. So let's find x first. Sine 48. Opposite over hypotenuse. 120 times sine 48. Are you guys good at trigonometry now?
Somewhat.
89.2. Got. So would that 89.2 be positive or negative if I'm going to the right? Positive. And then cosine 48 would be y over 120. 120 times cos 48. 80.3, would that be positive or negative? Negative. Okay. All right. You will not have to do one of those on the test.
Let's go.
I'll tell you what kind of problem would be on the test, I think. So Mr. H is making the test, but I think I know which kind. I told him not to put one of those on. Okay, next we're going to describe vector direction. So remember, a vector has both direction and magnitude. So let's talk about describing a vector direction. So this is my vector right here. Do you guys see how that 25 degrees, if I were to create, or if I were to trace this angle, so the vector is between the east and the south. The vector is between the east and the south. But if I were to trace that angle, do you see how I'm on top of the east? It's always going to be of whichever side I'm tracing, I guess. So it's between the south and the east, so it's going to be south of east because that angle is created with the east side. So like this one, do you see how the vector is between the north and the east? So if I were to create that angle, do you see how I'm tracing the north side? So it's got to be of north. So east of north. So let's try a couple. So is this one of yours on your assignment?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 6.
So it's going to be 40 degrees. So it's between the south and the east. So I know I have to have south and east. Which one would it be of?
East of south.
It's east of south. If you just want to put E of S, that's fine. East of south. Does everybody understand why it's of south? Okay. So then this one would be 33 degrees west of north. Okay. Not so bad. Not so bad. Okay. So how do you feel about number 4? What would number 4 be? South of west. Did you guys know that south of west is the same as southwest?
Yeah.
We just normally don't say
West
like,
south.
right, yeah. Okay, so what about number 5? What would that be? 20 degrees west of south. And then 40 degrees east of south. Okay, not so bad, not so bad. Next, we have to try to draw some vectors. So, if you just make your north, south, east, west, did you guys ever learn, like, never eat soggy waffles? Yeah, never eat soggy waffles.
Never eat chalky weed.
I just know
Yes.
It's like
right north.
North, south, east, west. Yeah.
it's like all the ways to remember Sokotoa.
That's right.
There's
Yes,
multiple-
that's right. That's exactly it. Yes. Okay, so 50 degrees south of east, I know I'm going to want my vector between the south and the east. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a vector there. I just need to figure out where my 50 degrees needs to go. So does it go on the south side or the east side?
East.
East side, good. So 50 degrees. Did you know that that same vector, though, could really also be 40 degrees south of east? That could be another way to describe the same vector. How come? Just, 90 degrees, okay. So draw your north, south, east, west. My vector is between the north and the west. Which side does my 20 degrees go on? West side.
West
The west side. I feel like I'm just doing all these problems with you. I like vectors. So northeast, so it's between the north and the east. Which side is it going to go on?
Both.
Yeah, it really won't matter on this case because 45 plus 45 is 90. But yeah, the east side officially because north of east. But that same vector, yeah, it could be either side. Okay, another type of problem. Now, this next type would be the type that I would say would be on the test. Okay, so we're going to describe the magnitude and direction. So magnitude, I've got two lengths here. And this is a right triangle. Anytime you have two sides of a right triangle, to find the length of the other side, which would be the length of our magnitude, which would be our magnitude, you can always use the Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of that vector. So Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The c would be my hypotenuse, so I need the longest side. Would I add or subtract under the square root? What? Add, yes, I need the longest side, so I'm going to add a squared plus b squared. 33 squared plus 20 squared. You guys remember how to do this? You'll have to do this on your test. 33 squared plus, what was the other number? Huh?
20.
20, thank you, squared. So the length, my magnitude would be 38.6. So I'm going to say mag. Oh, I didn't spell that right. My mag is 38.6. Okay, so that's one answer. Now I also have to describe the direction. So I know that my vector is between the north and the east, and since my triangle is formed with the east side, I know it's going to be north of east. The thing is, I need to know that angle right there. So I'm going to call this little angle in there x, and I'm going to use trigonometry. So I've got an, what's this side over here called? Opposite. What's this side right here called?
It's 10.
Adjacent, so it's tan. So tan x, tan is O over A, so 20 over 33. If you don't know the angle,
Second
the second button, second tan, 20 over 33.
31.2.
And it, yeah, 31.2 degrees. 31.2 degrees, and what was it? What of what? North of east. So I've got my magnitude and my direction. That is a vector. Magnitude and direction.
Oh my Jesus.
So Pythagorean theorem for magnitude, second tan for direction. So let's do another one. So let's do Pythagorean theorem to get the magnitude. So again, I want to find the length of my hypotenuse, so that's my longest side, so I would add 100 squared plus 90 squared. 100 squared plus 90 squared. So 134.5 would be my magnitude. And then, so my vector is between the south and the west. I know it's on the west side. I just have to figure out what that angle is. So it's always that angle right by the origin. That's the one you want to find. So the 90, is that going to be my opposite side or my adjacent side? Opposite, and then that would be my adjacent. So tan x equals 90 over 100. Second tan,
42.
so yeah, 42 degrees. What of what?
South.
Southwest.
South of west. Yeah. Magnitude and direction. So which ones did I do? 10 and 11? I'll do number 12 with you, but I'm going to want you to do 13, 14, and 15 just so that you can practice that in case that's on your test.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do 12 with you. So to get the magnitude, we have to do Pythagorean theorem. So 1 squared plus 0.8 squared. 1 squared plus 0.8 squared. 1.3. So the magnitude, 1.3, so that would be the length of my vector. And then I need to describe the direction. So it's always this angle in here by the origin that I need to find. So tan x, which side is my opposite?
0.8.
0.8 over 1. So second tan.
38.7.
Yep, 38.7. So 38.7 degrees, what of what?
South of east.
South of east. Yay. Okay. Couple more types of problems. I think just 2 more. What do you guys think about vectors? Not too bad. So I'm going to show you a little word problem example, and then I'll help you set up the one that's on the worksheet. So I'm going to start by drawing my compass direction. So north, south, east, west. So a small airplane lands at a point 246 miles east and 76 miles north of the point from which it took off. Describe the magnitude and direction of this vector. So I've got this airplane, and I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to fly 246 miles east. So I'm going to go this way, fly 246 miles east. Now the thing is, I'm not going to turn around, come back home, and then go north, right? So I'm going to fly east, and then from here, my 246, then I'm going to go north 76 miles. Does that make sense? So I'm flying east and the north. I wish I could put the 246. I'm going to fix that. 246 underneath. Okay, so this it would be my vector. So I've got to find the magnitude and direction. So magnitude is Pythagorean theorem, 246 squared plus 76 squared. 246 squared plus 76 squared. So my length is 257.5. Okay, so there's my magnitude. Then I would have to get the direction. So I'm going to have to find this angle. So tan x, oh that was loud. Opposite over adjacent, which side's opposite?
76.
So 76 over 246, second tan, 76 over 246. So it'd be 17.2 degrees. 17.2 degrees, what of what?
North of east.
North of east. So on your worksheet, you've got this word problem. So I'll help you set it up, but I'm going to have you do the magnitude and the direction. So you'll want to draw your compass directions: north, south, east, west. So we're going to start at the origin. So homing pigeons. Have you ever seen homing pigeons? I actually went to, it was a celebration of life for a girl. She had passed away, But the guy comes and he has homing pigeons. So what you do is you release the pigeons, but they know their way home. So they fly home. So that when he gets home, he has his pigeons back. Is that the craziest thing? Anyway, homing pigeons have the ability or instinct to fly their way home when released hundreds of miles away from their home. Homing pigeons carried the news of Olympic victories to various cities in ancient Greece. I think that's kind of interesting. Okay, suppose one such pigeon took off from Athens and landed in Sparta. So we go 73 miles west. So I'm going to go 73 miles west. And then I'm going to go 64 miles south. Now we don't turn around, come back, and then go south, right? We fly 73 miles west, and then we fly south. So south 64 miles. My vector would be right here. So you'll have to do the Pythagorean theorem to find the magnitude. And then you'll have to use second tan to find that angle in there. Okay? Can you do that? So there's only one type of problem left, and you guys are almost done with your assignment too. What'd you guys get for the magnitude?
97.1.
Okay, good. You can grab another one, like if you want to grab one of mine. I'll look for yours. What'd you get for the second tan, the direction? What degrees?
40 degrees.
And then what of what?
South of west.
South of west. What'd you get?
41.2.
So it would be second tan, what over what?
64 over 73.
Yeah. Second tan, 64 over 73. Yeah,
Oh,
41
I
point.
thought it was adjacent over.
No, TOA, tripping on acid.
Okay.
41.2 degrees south of west. Okay, very last type of problem. We're just going to find each vector sum. These are super easy. When you're finding the sum means to add. You're just going to add your x's together, comma, add your y's together. That's all there is to it. So what's 2 plus negative 3?
-1.
Negative 1. What's 1 plus 2?
3.
3. Yeah. What's negative 1 plus negative 1? Negative 1 plus negative 1?
-2.
Okay. And then 1 plus 2?
3.
3. Okay. Are you okay with adding vectors? Just add the x's together, comma, add the y's together. I thought my joke was kind of cute. I'm sick and tired of being treated like they're made, because who is he? Iron Man. Oh, he's ironing their iron. Isn't this mixing though two different types of the comic? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. All right, so you just have to finish the problems you haven't finished, and that is it. And then grade it and submit it, and that's it.
Just 18.